there are two beers that we're doing tonight that are both from Victory Brewing. So I'll recommend each one separately, but just to give you a little background on Victory Brewing, a couple of guys, Bill and Ron, became friends in 5th grade. In college, they both developed a love for good quality beer. When Ron graduated from college, he started experimenting with his dad's home brew kit, loved it so much that he sent one to Bill. And that sort of began their partnership. They both started working for other breweries, even in Germany. They honed their skills, and then they decided that they wanted to open their own brewery, which was in their home state of Pennsylvania. So our first two beers are going to be from Victory Brewing. So the first one is, Leah has pictured, Victory Sour Monkey. It's a fruited sour triple, a little bit high in ABV. I think it's 9.5. The flavor, it's loaded with raspberries. It has a sweetness. It also has a tang. It is a sour after all, with a nice smooth finish. They use real raspberries, so that adds to the sweet fruit, but it also adds a little, if you're pouring it in a glass, it adds a nice little rose hue to the beer as well. So my donut recommendation with this, as you can see on the screen, is a jelly-filled donut. The sugar coating with that sweet jelly filling is a perfect match for the fruity notes in the beer, while the sweetness of the donut kind of balances out the sour notes that are in the beer. So I can't wait to see what Cindy is going to recommend with this.
Hold on, okay, so just a couple of things. We probably should have said welcome.
Yes.
We just
Welcome,
dove
everyone.
right in because we were so keen to get to the beer. For those of you who have not been to one of these completely winging it book and booze pairing events that Brenda does with us, she's such a glutton for punishment. Welcome. I'm Cindy Haiken. I'm the Reader's Advisory Librarian in the Wallingford Public Library, and manning the tech is the great Leah Farrell, the Adult Services and Community Librarian, and she's hiding, but maybe we'll get her to pop out once or twice. Blame me for, but no, I didn't blame you for jumping the gun. Notice that Leah is using the chat feature of Zoom. Please use it if you want to make any observations or comments and don't want to speak in the Zoom, although of course all comments are welcome. We are a very, very friendly group. The way we're going to do this is, as you just saw, Brenda is going to introduce one of the beers she's picked for us and then explain why she's paired it with a donut. I am sitting here in my dining room with my husband on one side of me and my dog on the other, and we are going to taste the beers alongside of all of the rest of you. We did not go for the donuts. We're not as advanced as Tom, who's doing the full pairing, but if you did, thumbs up to you. And after Brenda explains the beer, and hopefully we all taste it, maybe any feedback. I think her description of it was great. I've already more or less finished my tasting of it. I really liked it, and I can completely see why it would go great with jelly-filled donuts. And anyone else who's tasted it and wants to add comments or ask questions should feel free. And then after the beer, I will explain with my great deep book reader's advisory thinking how I came up with each of these completely brilliant, if I do say so myself, pairings. So don't laugh, Judy. I'm serious now. So
and you're here.
That's right. So please don't be shy. This is definitely not a shy program. So does anyone
comes on?
Anyone have any comments on the monkey fruited sour.
I noticed, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Hannah.
No, I noticed there's like a bit of an herbal almost bite at the beginning, but then it finishes really sweet, which is nice. I'm not usually a fan of sour ales, but this is really pleasant.
And Tom just put in the chat that it tastes great with a jelly donut. So there you go. Which I can see. Any other comments? Okay. So I was fixated for this book pairing. Linda says we agree. Cheers. Excellent. Okay. I was fixated on the monkey. I have to say that the monkey on this bottle, this can, really sent me. And so I really wanted a monkey themed book to pair it with. And I opted for Patti Smith's The Year of the Monkey. I hope everyone, since everyone was grooving to the music, although of course it's a different kind of music, everyone knows who the great Patti Smith is, in addition to being, thank you, Tom, Patti Smith, yay, okay. In addition to being an extremely talented singer and songwriter, she is a tremendously gifted writer. And her memoir, Just Kids, which Hannah is, there you go. Hannah says it's been on her list of things to read for years. It actually won the National Book Award for Best Biography or Memoir. That was pretty impressive. The comments are coming in. Kate and Jerry say that was one of the best sours we've had. And Tom is also propping for Patti being a great photographer. So we're just free associating now. In any event, Year of the Monkey, which came out in 2019, is a memoir about this sort of free-form road trip she took after she did a series of New Year's concerts in San Francisco. She just sort of embarked on a year of wandering and was all over the country visiting friends and being with them for health issues or for other life events that were going on. And she sort of chronicles that experience in this book, which has sort of almost dreamlike poetic elements to it, in addition to being a really interesting memoir. I encourage you to read her. She's had an extraordinary life and is a fascinating woman. And you could start here or with Just Kids or The M Train, which is another great book of hers that she wrote. But anyway, I was fixated on the monkey on the can, and that's why I paired the first beer with Year of the Monkey. Okay, here we go.
All right, number 2. So this is our second beer from Victory Brewing. And this one is Victory Summer Love, which is a golden ale. This one is a little not so high octane as the triple, which was 9.5 ABV. This one is 5.2 ABV. And the tagline for this beer is that it's a taste of sunshine. It's actually the one that I'm drinking myself right now, and it's a really refreshing golden ale that has big flavor. It has nice balance between the Pilsner malts and the citrusy lemony hops. There's a gentle sweetness to it without it actually being sweet. And it just has like these wonderful earthy lemony flavors. For this one, the donut recommendation is a powdered sugar donut. The donut is light, it's airy, it's sweet. It goes really well with the citrusy notes in the beer, but it also kind of plays nicely with those Pilsner malts. So I'm hoping somebody who's actually doing the pairing lets me know if I got it right.
I just want to say that, because you just brought up again, they didn't have sugar donuts at Dunkin' Donuts. You should have gone to Neil's, Tom. How could you not have gone to Neil's? You're on mute, but it's okay. I'm still thinking about the last beer and the fact that its ABV is so high, because it didn't taste like that at all, Brenda.
No, it didn't. It didn't. That's one of the things I liked about it, is that it's not super heavy. On the other hand, it is dangerous, because the ones that are both heavy and high in alcohol, you kind of know it, and you can only drink maybe one or whatever. But the Triple Monkey can get you in trouble.
Yeah. Tom, I know Neil's closes at 3, but you have time. Plan better next time. Does anyone have any comments on Summer Love? Kate, what does that mean? Once, twice, 3 times the monkey. Phil, thumbs up, Brenda, from Phil. Great pairing choices.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Hannah wants to know what's the difference between a golden ale, a lager, and a pilsner?
A golden ale and a pilsner are kind of interchangeable. A lager is a little bit heavier, I would say, although you can certainly have light lagers, but a lot of it has to do with the malts that they choose and the hops that they choose. So this golden ale is basically a mixture of both malts, pilsner malts, and hops, where some of the beers, some of the lagers especially, just go with the straight up malts.
Molly said that it's tasty and that Donut Crazy didn't have powdered either. What's going on?
Wow. Have powdered donuts fallen out of fashion?
How could that be? It's a
I
classic.
know, right? It's a classic.
An absolute classic.
Have to get the little packages of the gas station powdered donuts now.
Linda said they couldn't get it either. This is a tragedy.
It is.
Bob says the beer tastes hoppy to me.
Yep. There are some hops in there. There are citrus hops along with the Pilsner malts. So you're going to get the hops more on the finish. I find that I get the malt flavors more on the beginning, the front notes, and then the hops come in on the end.
Yep. Hannah says I get a little hop as well, but very gentle. And Linda's in New York, so they're out of powdered donuts in 2 states, not just one.
Yeah, Hostess powdered donuts.
Hostess.
Get them at the gas station.
This is really, really a tragedy. Okay. So for this one, I got caught up in the name Summer Love, and that is the summer of 1969. Bob is still on the Entenmann's. Entenmann's would be better than Hostess. That's all I'm going to say. So I paired this beer with Ellen Hildebrand's novel, also came out in 2019, Summer of 69. And Hildebrand is the queen of the Nantucket, the beach read. She sets almost all of her novels on Nantucket, and she's really, really good at making you feel like you're actually there on the island with her characters. Summer of 69 is the only historical, if you want to think of 69 as historical, which I guess we have to, the only historical novel she's written, and it is about a family that has summered on Nantucket every single summer. The family has 4 children, one of whom in this summer is in Vietnam, and only the youngest is still at home. And there's sort of this parallel set of stories about what's happening to the family, the secrets, of course, that they're keeping, and how those secrets come to light over the course of the summer. She interweaves a little Ted Kennedy Chappaquiddick stuff. So if you like your beach reads with some nostalgia for that summer, I highly recommend. At this time of the year, almost every single one of her books is checked out, which is saying something because she has written an awful lot of novels. The only ones that we have right now in stock are the ones she wrote that are set in Nantucket in the winter, because no one wants to think about that right now. And all of her summer novels are out. Her brand new novel, which came out a few weeks ago, has, I checked this, over 250 holds on it. So she is the queen of the summer beach read. And props to Bob, who got Neil's Donuts before they closed. Do I read her? Yes, I read her, Kate. I read her. I've actually just read her new novel, and I thought it was just okay. You know, she's been doing this for a long time, and she's actually said that she's going to stop. So I think she knows she's running out of steam. But I read her because she really does capture Nantucket so well, and it's pretty great. Not similar to Kristen Hanna. Not similar to Kristen Hanna. Read one of her earlier ones, Hannah. Give her a go. But you have to be in the mood for that, you know. It doesn't take long. Silver Girl. Kate recommended Silver Girl. 28 Summers is pretty good too. That's one of her more recent ones that's pretty good. Any other questions or comments on that one? Okay, Brenda, back to you.
All right. So our next beer and donut pairing is from Rhythm Brewing Company. Rhythm Brewing Company is fairly new. They started in 2018. They're based in New Haven, Connecticut, and it was founded by Elisa Bowens Mercado. And it is the first and only Black woman-owned brewery in Connecticut. Elisa started working in construction, and she worked in construction for 12 years. Then she opened a dance studio called Elisa's House of Salsa in Westville. She and both of her grandmothers loved beer and they loved dancing. And they would always talk about finding your rhythm in life. And Elisa felt that there were not a lot of craft lagers out there. So she set out to make one. And that is how Rhythm Brewing Company got started. So this rhythm, one of the things that makes it unique is that it is, and yes, she is a lovely woman, Kate, is that it's an unfiltered lager. It's 5.5 ABV, so not a heavy hitter. It's an unfiltered modern American style lager, which means that it's a little bit lighter in calories. It's brewed with South African hops, and it's smooth, it's crisp. It's going to be a little bit hoppy because of those South African hops. It does have a slight bite to it, again, from those hops, but it's got a nice clean finish. It is one that I would pair with a glazed donut, which hopefully those are not hard to find. The donut is buttery, it's sweet, and it meets this clean, crisp beer. And to me, it's just a perfect pairing.
What are we thinking, people? Sugar and brew high, Tom says. Everyone
I
is
think
drinking.
people are going to need a nap after this one.
Yes, well, luckily we didn't do this in the morning with
Yeah.
the donuts. Okay, here's some comments. I almost get a savory aroma when I smell it, but I can definitely taste the clean finish, says Hannah. And Linda says, we accidentally got glazed blueberry, but it still pairs really good.
Oh, good.
Glazed blueberry.
Nice.
We actually have this beer in our fridge downstairs. We've had this one.
It's a good one. They just they just came out with a light version as well.
Light as in calories light?
Yep, a lighter version, like you know how you have Bud Heavy, Bud
Yeah.
Light.
Yeah. Tom, Linda's in New York. So I don't think you're getting glazed blueberry. Duncan!
Yeah,
Look at
Dunkin'
that.
has
There
them.
you go. Bob's asking, this is beer best to be super cold? Question mark.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Good question.
I mean, it's not terrible when it's a little warm, but it does have, you know, this is one of those that, you know, stick it in your ice cooler, your ice chest, and get it nice and cold.
What does the unfiltered mean?
Just that they don't filter it out. They don't filter the impurities.
You're drinking impurities, Tom.
Yes. Or well, let's call them particulates.
Okay. And Kate says, my mom ate the glazed donut from Krispy Kreme, but the blueberry is good too. Krispy Kreme, wow.
Yeah.
That's big.
Those are dangerous.
Best. Very. Those are like eating cotton candy.
It truly, because you eat it, you don't feel like you've eaten anything, therefore you have to get another one.
There you go.
Huh?
Okay, I paired this one with the obligatory donut book of the evening, Glazed America: A History of the Donut, which I know now because we've been having all these conversations about donuts. You're all going to want to read, and by the way, I didn't pick any books we don't have. This came out in 2008 and is the story of the origin of the donut. Its popularity in different places and over the centuries, and its significance. Technically, the belief is that the donut is Chinese in origin, although the Germans, the French, and in Latin America, they've made valid claims to have created it. The closest old recipe that Mullins, who's actually a professor, was able to find was a 1669 Dutch recipe for Oli Koeken, Koeken. Koeken, says my husband. That it's the closest thing to today's fried breakfast treat. And he also shared, which I thought was really interesting, that when immigrants arrived at Ellis Island, one of the very first foods they were given was a jelly donut. And that sort of permanently tied that food in their minds to what it means to be American. And Corey is chiming in. You see, the Greeks have been making Loukouma, I'm probably pronounced that horribly, since the original Olympics. You see, everyone claims the donut. But 776 BCE, says Corey and Ashley. So there you go. Maybe the Greeks have it. Canadians actually have a higher per capita rate of donut shops than the US does. So everyone can lay claim to this food. So there's stories about who invented the donut hole, why cops love donuts so much, brand loyalties based on different demographics, hence the Dunkin' Krispy Kreme discussion, and sadly investigates the impact of the donut on our public health, which we're not even going to think about tonight. But in any event, if you want to do a deep dive into donuts, this is the book for you. Okay, and Tom says, don't count out the Simpsons factor. That's fair. That is fair. Okay, centers.
All right. So our next pairing involves a very local brewery. To me, Center Street Brewing Company is literally right behind my store. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful place. And the people are super, super friendly. They opened March of 2019, which was like 2 months before I opened my store. Peter Ford and his brother Tim, who is his business partner, are the owners of Center Street Brewing Company. And Peter has been a craft brewer for over 30 years. It started as sort of a home brewing hobby in his garage. And he always dreamed of opening a brewery in his community of Wallingford, where he's lived for the last 30 years. And now he's brewing right on Wallace Ave. It's definitely a family operation, and you'll often see Pete's wife, Lynn, and his two sons, John and Nick, who all work together to make the magic happen. If you don't follow them on Instagram, I recommend that you do, because John and another employee, Patrick, who's the brand development person and who also you'll see behind the bar, they make some hilarious Instagram videos. So if you can, follow them on Instagram. So of course, I had to choose Center Street Brewing for a New England IPA. This one is called Wicked Hoppa, and it's a little high. It's a 7% ABV, and it is it's juicy and citrusy, but at the same time it's soft. It's got a lot of hop flavor, a lot of hop aroma. I know some people aren't crazy about hops, so IPAs may not be your favorite. But this is a very good version of a New England IPA. It's got a wicked lot of attitude, as they like to say at Center Street Brewery. So this one, the donut recommendation is a strawberry frosted donut. And the reason for that is so you can kind of get berry blasted with a full-on juice bomb, because the beer is definitely a juice bomb. You have this big, juicy, citrusy beer that's a little hoppy, a little bitter, and you're pairing it with this sweet strawberry frosting and the buttery donut, and it all just works really well together.
My husband is the IPA guru in the house, and he says it's a little sweet. Is that the citrus?
Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah. You're not invited, Tango.
Anyone here been to Center Street? Tom has. Judy has. I've walked by it. We keep having this goal at the staff and the library that the staff on a Friday after work is going to get grilled cheese from Casius and then go hang out at Center Street.
That's a good plan.
So I like that plan a lot. Oh, I'm getting a lot of, Kate says, anyone not been? Bob Psyche's been many times. And Spencer says, love Center Street. Linda says, we couldn't get them here on Long Island. You couldn't get the beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheesy Shabbat. Yes. Friday night, Brenda and Center Street. That's it. Oh, Hannah said, I went to their booth at Celebrate Wallingford Day in October, the same day we signed our lease, but I haven't been to the actual brewery yet. We clearly need to have an outing.
Yeah, the brewery is absolutely beautiful. And I don't know if you remember back a few years ago, we had this horrific microburst that took down a lot of trees in the local parks.
Yep.
And all of the wood that is used on their bars and their tables is from a lot of those trees that were knocked down. So they found a way to sort of get something good out of something that was so horrific.
That's terrific. Oh, yeah, that's great. Wait, I want to ask, Linda, did you get another IPA to sub in, or did you just, you're drinking something else? Not like we don't have a lot of beers, just curious. But I saw a big thumbs up from Tom. Nasty. Linda got nasty. There you go. Instead of wicked, she went nasty. I won't share the name. Okay, fair enough. You'll have to come up. Okay, we're pairing this. I'm not an IPA gal, but this isn't too bad. And they have wine there for people who don't like beer. So there you go. If you have been to one of these programs before, you know that inevitably there is a mystery. One of the books is always a mystery because mystery and booze seem to go together. But I found, believe it or not, maybe you will without any question, there is a mystery series by Jessica Beck called The Donut Shop Mysteries. Okay? Because you can write a mystery series based anywhere with any theme you want. And I just want you to know that as of today, there are 58, that is 58 books in the Donut Shop Mystery Series, of which Illegally Iced is number 9 out of 58. So the Donut Shop Mysteries feature a donut maker named Suzanne Hart, who is, of course, an amateur sleuth, because what else are you going to do in your spare time when you're running a donut shop? They are set in a fictional small North Carolina town, because, you know, why not? In the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And it doesn't really matter what this particular one is about. I chose this one for the cover because it sort of looked like strawberries, and I was just going off Brenda's pairings. But the local blacksmith has a fight with Suzanne, the donut shop owner, and then is found dead. So she, the amateur sleuth, is the prime suspect in the murder, and she has to try to solve the murder so she doesn't get, you know, arrested. As I said, it doesn't really matter. The point is that if you're looking for a cozy North Carolina setting that features a lot of baking of donuts, you might have found a new mystery series, and you know, this one has a good cover. And we're on my favorite beer. Oh, and Brenda says that there's a New England cider that they also have at Center Street, but we're coming to cider in a bit.
Yes. Okay, Guinness. Guinness is my favorite too. I love stouts. So a little history on Guinness. It was founded by Arthur Guinness at St. James Gate in Dublin, Ireland in 1759. He purchased in a Brandon brewery that was actually originally another brewery that strictly did ales. But he abandoned ale production because he found that his porters were doing much better. And in the beginning, he produced only 3 variations of the darker beer. Then they started adding some other things, but they basically had porter or single stout, double stout, and foreign extra. The Guinness draft that we are drinking now was not developed until 1959. So it's kind of a fairly new one, and it has very quickly become their most popular beer. This one, 4.2 ABV, so it's lighter. It has wonderful malty sweetness, a little bit of hoppy bitterness, lots of chocolate notes, some coffee notes. It's smooth, it's creamy, it's a balanced brew. So this was probably the hardest one for me to pair, not because I couldn't pair it with something, but because there were so many things that I could pair it with. Ultimately, I did settle on the Boston cream donut. Guinness has the wonderful chocolate notes, and it's got that velvety mouthfeel, and it kind of matches really well with the rich chocolate covered Boston cream. If you're not a fan of Boston cream, however, this would also go very well with strawberry filled, strawberry frosted, or a cinnamon sugar donut, because all of those flavors really complement one another with the chocolate and coffee notes of the beer.
Cinnamon sugar and the Guinness, my head just went a little exploded. Hannah wrote, my favorite donut flavor paired with my favorite of the beers so far. Look at that.
Yeah. Cheers, Hannah.
If you have not been to the Guinness factory in Dublin, you have to go. You have to go because it's amazing. Linda says we're pairing it with a creme brulee and it's scrumptious. #yum. And Kate's
wow.
with me on the cinnamon. Yeah. Ooh, yum. Yes, creme brulee. Wow. Who hasn't been there? Kate, like, who hasn't been to Center Street? Who hasn't been to the Guinness factory in Dublin? It's amazing. And the bar at the top with the Guinness, it's just sublime. Sublime. So put that on your, Dublin is a very easy trip. Aer Lingus is at Bradley, already has released its 2024 flights. So they're returning to Bradley next summer, easy to go. Tom says goes with bacon, sausage, egg, potatoes, beans, soda bread or toast, tomatoes, mushrooms, and white or black pudding. So Tom is having Guinness for breakfast.
The full Irish.
For the full Irish. Leah wants to book a group trip to Dublin. First, we'll go to Center Street, then we'll go to Dublin. Hannah said, I went to Ireland for my high school graduation present, and our first stop after dropping our bags at the hotel was Guinness factory. I think we had our priorities in order. And Kate is pushing for black pudding. I don't know, Brenda. Maybe you should have opened with the Guinness.
I know, right?
Everyone is happy. I don't usually drink Guinness in the summer, I have to say. I think of it as a winter. I guess I just think of dark beers as wintry and lighter beers as summery, but that's probably novice view.
It only has like a 4.2 ABV, so it's not real heavy on your stomach.
Tom says there is no season for Guinness, apparently, and no bad time of the day. So
Guinness is all day, every day, all year long.
Right. Kate says red wine in winter only. Okay. But beer is seasonless. Okay. The book pairing for Guinness was my easiest of the 6. And it is a novel that everyone should read. If they haven't, it's called Love, and it is by Roddy Doyle. I mean, obviously I picked it for the cover, but in addition, the book is about 2 old friends who grew up together in Ireland. One of them has moved to England. but he comes back to Dublin to visit his dad on a regular basis. And he is back in Dublin for this particular visit because his dad is in hospice. And the two friends spend what turns out to be an afternoon and an evening together drinking. And I dare you to try to count the number of pints they actually have as they make their way through Dublin, drinking and talking and sort of not saying the important things about what's going on with each of them. And then eventually sort of you're finding out what's really going on with both of them as they drink and they work through their lives together. So if you're in the book club and you remember When All Is Said, which was a book we read a few years ago, a debut novel by Anne Griffin, you will like this. Roddy Doyle is a very, very accomplished Irish author. Kate says Roddy is a treasure. His novel, Paddy Clark, Ha Ha Ha, won the Booker Prize, and his much older novel, The Commitments, was turned into a fabulous movie, which is a must-see and a must-read. But this is one of his most recent novels. Leah says, I love that movie. And it's a terrific novel about male friendships. And Leah says her whole big, annoying Irish family loves that movie. And this is a really core Irish book with Guinness at its heart. The title of the book, Jessica, that we're talking about is Love, Love. By Roddy Doyle, who also wrote The Commitments and Paddy Clark, Ha Ha Ha, among other wonderful novels. So this was the first book I thought of as soon as I saw Brenda's list of beers.
Okay, our last one is Blake's Hard Cider Triple Jam. Blake's is fairly new in the cider game. 2013, not too new. But in 1946, Gerald and Lovey Blake, and yes, her name is Lovey, just like in Gilligan's Island, moved their family of 13 kids out of the suburbs and onto a farm. And they started growing fruit and apples and all kinds of good stuff. Years later, their son Paul came home from college and he wanted to do more with the farm, and he convinced his parents to let him start making hard ciders. And so they opened a cidery on the property. And that was in 2013. So Blake's Triple Jam, Blake's is famous for their 5-apple blend. And then from there, they will add other fruits, or they'll just keep it strictly apple. In this case, they've added berries. And it's strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. This one is clearly bursting with all three of those flavors. It's a semi-sweet palate pleaser. Not a super dry cider, not a super sweet dessert cider. It kind of falls somewhere in the middle. The donut recommendation with this, there are a couple of different ones that I recommended. One is the old-fashioned donut. If you don't want to pair sweet with sweet, the old-fashioned donut is a good counterbalance to the sweetness of the cider. If, however, you want to do a little bit sweeter, or if you wanted to pair a dry cider with a donut, then I would say go with the apple fritter, which gives you a sweeter pairing. Cindy, are you trying the cider?
I'm drinking it right now.
What do you think?
I'm a cider fan. I have to tell you that I have never been so drunk in my life as the first time I had cider, because if you think, a light, a 9.9% APV where you can't really tell is lethal, try cider where you think you're drinking sparkling apple juice.
Yeah, and this one's 6.5.
I mean, forget it. I can't even, Tom says it's a tad too sweet. Right, but it's great for dessert.
Yeah. And then that's why I paired it with the old fashioned, because the old fashioned is not a super sweet donut.
Hannah says, this is a blast of fruit. It tastes like having a spoonful of jam. Wait, Linda, are you pairing this with a blueberry donut? Is that what that means? Yes. Wow. Wow. What do you think of that, Brenda?
Awesome.
So
Yeah,
I love
cool.
cider, but you have to be very careful with cider. I am telling you. And raspberry dark chocolate. Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
That is brilliant. No, cider is, forget it. Because especially on a warm evening, you just drink it. You don't even realize what you're doing until the next morning. I don't even want to tell you what happened the next morning.
It's like drinking mimosas, you know?
Oh, except it's much more potent.
Yes.
And you drink it by the pint, you know.
Yes.
As opposed to an elegant glass of mimosa. Forget it. So yes, it's great, but lethal. Killer hangover, I'm sure. Tom, I had a bruise running down the entire left side of my body. I know what I did. We were on a boat on the Thames. I was in London, and I rammed into a door when I heard a song playing that I really wanted to dance to, and I didn't realize the door was shut. And I felt no pain whatsoever until the next morning. I'm telling you, Judy is laughing, but cider is lethal. Lethal. Bob wants to know where Blake's is from.
That's a good question. I know they're in, I believe they're in the Heartland, but I can't remember where. That was one thing I didn't put on my sheet. So I'm looking on the can, trying to cheat. I can't find it.
Anyone else focused on the 13 children part? A cruise bruise. That is exactly right, Kate. I'm still focused on Brenda's comment about that they moved their 13 children to a farm. I'm a little worked up about that. Yeah, Hannah wants to taste their apple cider.
Yeah, they used a 5-apple blend. And I'm sure that, yeah, my rep Jeff is watching along with us. He should be, so he'll be very, very happy to hear that, Hannah.
Yeah, Kate said they moved to the farm because they needed the space for the 13. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff just texted me there from Michigan, which I kind of put that in the back of my brain, but I just couldn't pull it forward.
Google says Michigan too, says Molly.
Okay.
Well, then apples. Okay.
Yeah.
That works. Yep. Okay, last book, and this one should have been, I'm embarrassed that it took me 5 minutes to think of this, because I should have come up with this one as quickly as I came up with Love. Tom Smith is nodding. It is John Irving's The Cider House Rules, and I'm just going to say, really, if you have not read this book, what are you doing? This was John Irving at his Too Much Cider for Cindy. I would have said that. I would have said that without any of the beer in me, Kate. I promise. He wrote Cider House Rules, followed by A Prayer for Owen Meany. So if you want to read John Irving when he was at not only his best, but about as good as it gets, these are the idea that he wrote those two books back to back just blows my mind. And this was also turned into a terrific movie starring Michael Caine. Hannah says, I'm ashamed to say I've never read it, but A Prayer for Owen Meany remains one of my all-time favorites. Hannah, read it. This is just as political as any of his other novels. His focus here is actually, believe it or not, on abortion. He wrote this in the mid-1980s, and it is set at an orphanage where a young boy named Homer Wells is never adopted. The orphanage's founder is a doctor named Wilbur Larch, who treats the people who live in the orphanage extraordinarily well, and is, in addition to being the orphanage's founder and a doctor, is performing illegal abortions. And he never adopts Homer, but basically treats Homer as his son and wants Homer to take up the profession. And Homer is really, really opposed to that. And he runs off with a couple who come to the clinic, and sort of gets involved in a complicated love triangle and eventually makes his way back. It's a beautiful, beautiful, big, sprawling novel that Irving is so good at. And again, the movie is pretty good too. So I should have thought of this right away. And when I thought of it, I went, everyone should read this. But not when you've had 6 different beers. Maybe wait until the beer's worn off a little bit before reading this. Great pick, says Kate. Thank you. So those are the beers. Those are the pairings, donuts and books. Anyone have any final thoughts or reactions, favorites?
Great job on this slideshow, Leah.
Yes, very fun slideshow. Leah still doesn't want to appear, but she did all the favorite. You can put it in the chat or you can shout it out. Favorite one of the beers? So much fun. Bill says, new books on my list, along with food and beverage choices while reading. Thank you very much. Wonderful idea. No one wants Victory Summer is Kate's favorite beer. Bob, we did a wine. The very first one that we did early in the pandemic was a wine pairing. And we've done
sparkling wine.
We've done summer cocktails. We've done bourbon around the Kentucky Derby.
We did the Valentine wine chocolate.
Valentine wine and chocolate. I think we've tried to sort of work the seasons. Ashley liked the cider best. Hannah liked the Guinness best, but she's been introduced to others that she loved. Any other comments? Any other thoughts? Judy wishes she were here trying the Connecticut beers instead of the Maine beers. Maine is good too, Judy. Oh, Tom, look, Irving, so good. Garp, Widow for a Year, Hole in the Floor. Yep, agree. One of the greats. Brenda, have we exhausted the possibilities? I doubt it. Kate
Probably not.
No, see, probably not, Kate. Not to worry.
If anybody has any ideas, just let me or Cindy know.
Yeah.
Or Leah.
As you see, we can take any idea and run with it. A couple weeks ago, the book club said, what are you going to pair with the beer and the donuts? And I said, I have no idea. And it just works. More beer, same time next year, says Tom. There's no end of beer possibilities, Tom. Will we get a list? Yes, Molly. Leah will send around a list to everybody.
Yes, and someone just texted me that we should do tequila.
Tequila.
Every good story starts with tequila.
Oh, my God. Music pairings, Hannah says.
Oh,
Music pairings. Oh, Hannah. Oh, my single malt. So now see what we've done? Single malt. Kate, the not over 40 years is for the tequila? 28 Summers. Kate, are you recommending the Hildebrand novel, 28 Summers? That's a good one. So many ideas. So many ideas, Brenda. We
We'll
will be
figure it
back.
mhm.
We will be back. We can't take the show on the road. We can only take it on Zoom. So we will be
Yep.
back. Leah will send out, Tom said same time next year. Oh, okay. Leah will send out all the pairings so everyone has the list. Alcohol that has nips, Molly. Oh, God. Okay. All good ideas. Italian wine. Yeah. We could do a country. We could try to country theme it. That's true. We could do that. We will take these all under advisement. Keep the suggestions coming. Look for the lists from Leah. And thank you all very, very much for joining us this evening. It was great to see you.